This around. Well, hello everybody. This is Carla and welcome back to the studio. And thank you for joining me for another episode of Throwback Thursday. So, just a little disclaimer. This Throwback Thursday that I am doing is the one that was for Thursday, May 1st, and it's May 5th, in which I am recording it. So, a lot of things were going on last week where, you know, it just didn't get done, but it's getting done today. So, this will be posted just a little bit after I get it done. So, it'll be kind of at nighttime, so nobody may see it until the next day. And don't mind me, I'm just adjusting everything a little bit because I want things to be straight. So, what do I have for you? So, again, this is the Throwback Thursday that is for May 1st. And it's actually going to be May 5th, in which it's going to be posted. Now, I will have another Throwback Thursday this week. That one will feature the Bottled Happiness bundle. That is a stamp set along with the vintage bottle punch. So that's coming up this week. And then I will have my Friday Night Live. Uh, Now I don't remember what it is that I'm using for that Friday night, but that's going to be coming as well. That will be at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We have a lot of fun with the lives. We do have a lively chat. And at the end, I give away the three cards that I made. So I hope that you'll be able to join us for that. A couple of things that I do want to make mention since I am doing this week. Uh, there's some exciting things that are going to be happening. So let me bring in some of my little graphics here, just so I can bring it to your attention. So one more thing I need to get. Hold on. Okay, while I was doing that, this coming Friday is going to be the Mixed Media's Floral Suite. That is an online exclusive. So that's been out for a little bit. So we're going to be using that this coming Friday night. So a couple of things that I just want to really, really quickly bring to your attention. So we still have the last chance products. This is stuff that's from the clearance rack, the current annual catalog. As the time I'm doing this, it's still current. The mini catalog and any online exclusive items. Now, there are a lot of things that have sold out already. However, there are still more things. So there is a link in the description that will take you to where all the not all the last chance products are in the online store. And there, you'll see there's like this little pink box that'll say last chance. Some items are marked down, some aren't. If there is a bundle where, say, it's a stamp and a die bundle, take a look at if you're interested in it, that is. Uh, the bundle pricing is already 10% off, and they did not mark that down anymore. However, take a look at the individual stamp set and the set of dies, because there's a possibility both of those could have been marked down. And if that's the case, you're going to save even more money if you purchase them separately than actually purchasing it as a bundle. So I want to just bring that up. Another thing that's happening, so, and I'll show you this, I'm only going to show the cover of it. Well, this is our new annual catalog, and again, I'm recording this the night of May 5th, so there's a possibility that you may be watching this on May 6th. And May 6th is the first day that this catalog, it will be going live. So everything that's in this catalog is available to not only just demonstrators, but to customers as well. I have this past weekend, I did mail off some of the catalogs out to customers. If you are not working with another demonstrator and you're here in the United States and you would like a copy of this, my email address is in the description. Just send me an email along with your full name and your mailing address and let me know if you want this catalog. As far as any other catalogs, there won't be any more. Not in our holiday catalog is going to be a little bit before that comes out. So right now, it'll just be this catalog. And again, if you're not working with another demonstrator, and I say that only because there is a cost for purchasing these catalogs, plus there's also the cost of postage on mailing these. So for me to mail these, they were about, I want to say, give or take, close to $6 a piece to mail out. So again, because of the price of postage, if you're working with another demonstrator and you've been ordering from them, please request the catalog from them, okay? Another thing that's going to be starting tomorrow, the 6th, as well, along with this new catalog. Stampin' Up! Does have a starter kit special. So from May 6th through the 31st, new demonstrators will get $165. Now, this is in US dollars in their starter kit, which you choose, and you only pay $99 plus tax. The shipping is free. Now, also in your starter kit, in addition to what you choose, because normally it's 125, so you're getting to choose an additional $40 in product in your starter kit. Now, with the starter kit and being a demonstrator, that doesn't mean that you have to build it as a business and do videos and hold classes like I am doing. You can simply be a demonstrator just to receive the discount on the products, plus all those little extra perks about being a demonstrator. You, well, there's the discount, that's important, but you also get to see products before they go live to customers. So there's an opportunity to pre-order new product. And then there's also some events that happen that you can participate in if you would like. So again, you don't have to hold classes or do videos to be a demonstrator. So if you have any questions at all, I'll be more than happy to answer any of them. So again, my email address is in the description. Just reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions that or concerns that you may have. So let me put this stuff aside, and then we'll get started on our video here. So I am using the Pansy Petals suite. So it consists of the 12 by 12 designer series paper, a lot of different pansy designs on or leaves on one side, and then you have some really cool background patterns on the back. And the colors in this pack of paper is Blackberry Bliss, Bumblebee, Calypso Coral, Evening Evergreen, Fresh Freesia, Pale Papaya, Polished Pink, Soft Seafoam, Soft Succulent, and at the time it was Whisper White or Basic White. So in this paper there were a lot of in colors that well, most of them have since retired. Fresh Freesia is one of those that it's become part of the core color collection. So that particular in color is still with us. In addition to the designer series paper, there is also the Pansy Patch photopolymer stamp set. So you have some stamped images that you can do some two-step stamping to build not only the pansy but also the leaves. And then there's the coordinating set of dies. So the dies will cut out the images, plus there's some detailed dies in here as well that you can build a pansy as well. So there's the bundle. And then in addition, there are the Bumblebee trinkets. Now these are different than the bee trinkets that we are currently carrying and that have carried over. Those are much, much smaller. Now, excuse me, it was not in a container this big. You do get like 20 trinkets, so I just transferred this lid onto a bigger container because I actually purchased quite a few packages of it so before it retired. So these are bigger than the ones that we are currently carrying. So we're going to use these as well. So let's bring in the stuff for our first card. And I got my dimensions off to the side here on my laptop. And let's bring everything in. I did a lot of die cutting ahead of time. So let me put that aside. Okay, so to start off from my card base, I have a piece of basic white thick. This measures 11 by 4¼ and I've scored it at 5½. I then have, let's see, a piece of basic white. This measures 5 by 3¼ I have a piece of that Pansy Petals Designer Series paper. This measures 4¾ by 3. Then I have another piece, which is the opposite side of this one. This one measures 4¼ by 2. And then out of a scrap piece of basic white, I have die cut this label. This label comes from the meadow die. So there's one little label in here. So that's what I have die cut. And then out of the Designer Series paper and the set of dies that go with the stamp set, there you can die cut the 2 different shaped leaves and the 2 different sized pansies. And so there's a whole sheet that has nothing but leaves on it, and then there's a whole sheet that has a bunch of pansy images that you can die cut. So I did all that ahead of time. So I'm going to start off. I'm going to fold and burnish my card base. Okay. And then I'm going to take this Designer Series paper and I'm going to bring in my seal. And I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of this. Okay, and make sure I got my card the right way. And then I'm going to place this right about here, so it's going to line up from one end to the other, like so. Okay, and then this piece of Designer Series paper, I'm going to adhere this to that piece of basic white. So there's going to be a little bit of a border that goes around it. Okay. All right, and then I'm going to set that aside for a moment. And then on these flowers, I'm going to add some adhesive onto the back of it. And then I'm going to set that aside and out of the way. So that way we don't stick it to anything before we're ready. And then on this smaller one, I'm going to add a dimensional on the top part of this. And then I have some regular adhesive on the bottom because this is going to overlap on our label. And then let's see, what else do I need? So for the leaves, I'm just going to add some of my seal to that. Okay, so we have those set aside. And then I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat. Since this is a photopolymer stamp set, there's no foam cushion on it. So to get a good image, I'm going to use this piece of foam for this. Now for this, I'm going to bring in my soft succulent ink. And then I'm going to bring in the happy birthday greetings. So in this set, it does have really nice greetings, and there's also a mixed font on these. So I want the happy birthday. And let me get a block. Okay, and then we'll ink this up. And then I will center this and kind of go a little over to the left side of this label, like so. Okay, so that's the only stamping that we're doing on this card. Make sure that that's closed all the way. I'm also going to bring in my Fresh Freesia. This is the open weave ribbon. So this ribbon came in all of those in colors. So those colors had Fresh Freesia, Pale Papaya, Polished Pink, and then there was Evening Evergreen and Soft Succulent. So it was a nice set of in colors, and I liked a lot of them. I was sad to see them go and that they didn't carry over, but every so many years Stampin' Up does a color refresh, and some colors they bring back. So as a matter of fact, Fresh Freesia never got to retire because when it was about to, that very same year, they did a color refresh, and then Fresh Freesia actually became collect. So, so that color is still available. Let's see. So now I'm going to take my ribbon. Oops, don't want to lose that little pin. Okay, and then there's these little holes that are on either end of this label. So I'm going to bring my ribbon. Actually, I should have came out on this side first. And then come up from the back on this end. Okay. Now this is going to wrap around here, but I want to make sure that I have enough ribbon so that way I can tie a bow on here. And I want to give myself enough, but then I don't want to take too much either. So I think this'll work. And let me cut this, bring in my snips. And that's still a little bit long, so let me pull a little bit more. I want to make sure that I have enough so that way I don't struggle on tying that bow. All right, so let me put that ribbon aside. Okay, then on the back of this, I want to add a few dimensionals. So let me make sure that my ribbon is where I want it to be. Again, I want to make sure that I have that kind of centered a little bit. Okay, and then let me bring in my dimensionals. So since this ribbon is going right through the middle, I want to take these dimensionals and I want to get part of the ribbon, plus I want to get what do you call it, the part of the cardstock and the ribbon, so it holds it down. Okay, so then this is going to wrap around, whoops, this piece. I'm going to use my card base just to see where I want to place it. So I want to put it about there. And so I should take these off first, make it a little bit easier on tying it. Okay, just stick this right here. And then this is going to go about here, like so. Now I don't want to press really hard because I'm going to tuck a flower underneath there. As a matter of fact, let me do that first. So this is going to go right under here like so. Okay, I want to stick that down because again I have that dimensional right there. Okay, so then I'm going to tie myself a bow. Now a little trick, if you struggle on doing bows, if you have a reverse locking tweezer, that acts as like a third hand, and it helps you in tying your bow. So once I got that tied like so, I'm going to take my tweezers and I'm going to come under and I'm going to just hold on to that part there where I'm going to have my knot. Or, and again, if you can't do a bow, you can do a knot as well. And I do pretty well with bows until the camera's rolling, and then at that point it's like it becomes a whole struggle that the bow doesn't want to come out the way it wants to, you know, like what's happening right now. Let me try turning this around to make it a little bit easier. Some people, they can do this and easy peasy, lemon squeezy, and 1, 2, 3, their bow was done. Me, I don't know why. Sometimes, like I said, I think it's because the camera's rolling. Any other time when I don't have that, I can tie the bow with no problem whatsoever. Okay, so now this piece here is, why is my bow, like, my things aren't even. Like, really not even. Actually, it looks like that's going to hold without the tweezer. Okay, I want my bow to kind of sit off to the side. And the thing is with this ribbon, because you kind of have that mesh right in the center there, if you pull too tight, then you end up stretching that and you can easily tear it. And that's what I'm trying to not do. Okay, so my bow looks pretty good. It's not bad. Make this loop a little bit smaller. Okay, and then I'll take my snips and I will trim Make sure I don't get the loop. I'll trim that. Okay. And then I'm going to take this panel here and I'm going to put some dimension, excuse me, some dimensionals on the back. Put one there, put one there just to kind of hold that ribbon down. Okay, and then I will center this onto my card base like so. And then let me bring in these other pieces here. So I have 2 leaves, and I'm going to take this one and I'm going to kind of tuck this under like so. And then this one will go over on this end right here. And then the other little pansy, that will sit right over here. And then we have a couple of some embellishing to do. So with the Bumblebee trinkets, I'm going to grab one of these and bring in my glue dots to tear some of this off. Okay, and add a glue dot on the back of this bee. And we'll place this bee right there. And then also for my embellishments, I'm going to bring in the iridescent rhinestones basic jewels. These have retired, and I will tell you they are really pretty. So they're iridescent and they're clear. So whatever you put them on, it's going to pull that color through the embellishment. So that's what I really like about these. So I'm going to take the 2 smaller ones and I'm going to add these to the centers of these pansies. Like so. Okay, so there is the first card. So really pretty, lots of bright colors in there and pretty pansies. Okay, so there's our first card. Let me bring in the stuff for our second card. So the second card is a fun fold, and I apologize in advance because I don't know what the name of the fun fold is. So again, a lot of my pieces I already had die cut, and let me grab my silicone craft sheet because we're actually going to use the detailed dies to create our pansy. Okay, so for my card base, I have a piece of Calypso coral. This measures 8 1/4 by 4 1/4, and then I have scored it at 5 1/2. I have a piece of pale papaya. This measures 5 1/4 by 4, so that's going to be the inside of our card. And then I have another piece of, or did I say pale papaya? I think I said pale papaya, but just in case if I didn't. Then I have Calypso coral. This piece measures 7 1/2 by 2 3/4, and then I have scored it at 3 3/4. I have a piece of the Pansy Petals Designer Series paper. This piece measures 4 by 2.5. I have another piece. This measures 3.5 by 2.5. I have a piece of basic white, 3.5 by 2.5. And then out of some scrap cardstock, out of a piece of basic white, I had die cut this base here of our pansy. And then for the other layers, I have die cut these pieces out of pale papaya cardstock. And then for the darker elements on our pansy, these pieces were cut out of Calypso coral cardstock. And then for the leaves, you have your bases and then the detail piece. So the base pieces were die cut in soft succulent, and then these detail pieces are in evening evergreen. Okay, so let me get the stamps that I need for this one. So this is going to be a thank you card. So I want my thank you sentiment. And then this one, the little things you do make such a big difference. Okay. Let me get my blocks. Okay. And then we will need our Pierce mat again. So let me bring in the ink that we'll be using. So we'll be using Calypso Coral. So on this piece of basic white, I want it in landscape mode. And I'm going to ink the little things you do make such a big difference. And I'm going to stamp that right in the middle. Okay, we'll put that aside. And then on the piece of the pale papaya, I want to take my thank you and I'm going to stamp this right down in this bottom right hand corner, like so. Okay, so let me move those blocks out of the way. And this is all the stamping that we're doing on this card. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to take this. This is technically our card base. I'm going to fold and burnish this. Okay, and then the thank you, the pale papaya piece. We're going to take our adhesive and we're going to put this on what will be the inside of the card. And again, we want the thank you to be in the lower right hand corner. Okay, and then the floral image of that designer series paper. We'll add some adhesive to this. And we'll add it to the center of this panel here. Okay, and then our piece of Calypso coral, we'll score and burnish that. And then we'll take our designer series paper. Now we want this to open to the left. I'm going to take our designer series paper, and you can see that there's some other pansies on here that you can use the dies to cut out. Okay, and then this is going to go on the front, like so. And then the basic white piece that we stamped our greeting on, I'm going to take this and we're going to put this on the inside. So we want it on the left hand side here. Okay, and then we're going to add adhesive to the back of this. Okay, make sure that everything is facing in the right direction. And then we're actually going to take this and we want to center this on the inside of our card. Bring it over just a little bit. Make sure it's straight. Okay, and then we'll press that down. Okay, so our card is gonna fold up like this. Okay, so let's take our liquid glue and we're gonna assemble our pansy here. So on the basic white piece, there is this piece here that will fit right over that. And I should have added more glue to this bottle because I'm starting to run out. And so now another option is you could also use the adhesive sheets on these pieces on the cardstock before you die cut them. And then all you have to do is just peel that paper off. So that's a less messier option if you want to go that route. Me, I just didn't think about doing that beforehand. Okay, and then this piece will line up perfectly with that basic white piece. So I'm going to press that down. Okay, and then this little piece of the Calypso coral. Add some glue to the back of this. And then this piece is going to go right here. Okay. And then on these two petals, I'm going to take these two pieces of the Calypso coral, a little bit of glue, and this will line up to the tops of these pieces. Okay. Just press that down so that way the pieces are stuck good. Okay, and then these pieces are going to overlap a little bit, and then this piece is going to come right over it. So what I'm going to do with this piece, I'm going to bring in my seal and I'm going to add some to the top portion of this larger piece here. And then, oops, want these pieces to kind of stay together. And then this is going to go, trying to do this that those pieces don't move. And then I'll attach that. So I'm lining up the seam here for these two pieces and lining it up to the middle part here. Okay. And so there is our pansy. So then I am going to take some dimensionals and I'm going to strategically place these to where it's going to give a little bit of extra do I want to say strength or a little bit of extra adhesive that will hold all these pieces together. Put one down there. And then I'll place another 2 up here. Okay, and then we'll put that aside. We have our leaves that we're going to do, so I'm going to take this detailed evening evergreen piece, add a little bit adhesive to the back of this, and then this will line up with our leaf. Like so. Okay, so we have, that's one of our leaves. And then we'll do the same thing with our smaller one. Oops. Okay, and then that will line up with this one. Okay. And then on these pieces, on the back of these pieces, I'm going to add some of my seal to the back of these. Okay, we'll close up our glue since we're done with that. Okay, I'll move this aside. Let's take off these dimensional backings off our pansy. Okay, and then this is going to be placed right here, and I'm going to take my leaves and I'm going to stick that down right there. And then I got my smaller one. This smaller one's going to go right down here. So let me press those down. And then this will go right over the top, like so. And then, just like our fresh freesia ribbon, we have the same ribbon, what is this, the open weave ribbon, and this is in pale papaya. So I'm going to tie a bow with this. It's a little bit easier to tie the bow when you don't have it wrapped around your cardstock. So we don't need our loops really big. Okay, so that's good. Let me get my scissors and we'll trim our ends. Okay, put that aside. Let's get our glue dots. And when I put glue dots on my bow, I like to put it on the loop, so on either side of the knot. I find that it gives it a little bit more stability with it, so it doesn't easily fall off. And then this will go in the corner like so. And then let me get another one of my bees and a glue dot. And I'm going to place this one right over here on the designer series paper. And then we're going to use those iridescent rhinestones again. So let me bring those in. So I need a larger one here. And this is going to go right in the center. And then I'm going to take two of the smaller ones and I'm going to place them. Oops. I'm going to place them up. We don't want hair in it. That wouldn't be good. And we're going to place those two there. So you can see with these rhinestones, it does pull in the color. That's whatever paper you put it on or cardstock, it's going to pull that color through those rhinestones. So here is our second card again. It's a fun fold. I just don't know offhand what the name of that fun fold is, but it's got that real wow factor with building the pansy, and it opens up like that. So very cute card. So let me bring in the first one that we did. So these projects definitely have a lot of wow to them with the designer series paper and the colors that are in it. So we have our happy birthday card, and where we die cut, I had die cut the pansies and the leaves out of the designer series paper using the coordinating set of dies. And then on my second card, we kind of did this fun fold and we built our pansy using the detailed set of dies. So I hope you like the projects that I created for this Throwback Thursday. Again, this is the Pansy Petals Suite. And in this suite, it was the 12 by 12, what is it called again? Pansy Petals Designer Series paper. There's the stamp and die bundle. So the pansy dies and the pansy patch stamp set, along with the Bumblebee trinkets, which are different again than what we have currently now in our annual catalog. Plus these have also carried on into the new one as well. So in the new one, they are much small. They are smaller than these. So thank you so much again for joining me. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel and click on the notification bell. It will let you know when I post another video and when I also go live. So every week I do have a Throwback Thursday video that I bring in retired product and I create with that. I have gotten a lot of great feedback when I do that, because there's a lot, most times when I do these videos, I'll get somebody who will say, you know, I got that suite or I got that bundle, but I've never used it or I hardly used it. And I've given them some inspiration to pull it out and to play with it again. At the same time, shamelessly, I have also found myself, I'll, buy the product, excuse me, but I wasn't doing videos years ago. So what will happen a lot of times, I would get it. It would be about the time that it retires, and then it kind of gets put away, and then a new catalog comes out with new product and it kind of gets forgotten about. So there have been a lot of times that I go to pull product to do these videos, and only to find that I have never put ink to the stamp set. So that's very sad and very shameful. But this is one way that I'm pulling them out. I'm pulling out the retired product and I'm using that in addition to the new product that I do on my Friday night lives. I also do a monthly Christmas card inspiration, which shamelessly, that didn't get done on May 1st either, but it's going to be done tonight, and that will be posted just after I post this one. So that is, I create two very simple duplicatable Christmas cards that gives you a little bit of inspiration if you want to create your Christmas cards throughout the year rather than waiting until December. So that's another video that I do once a month. And then I also do a paper pumpkin unboxing. So when I receive my paper pumpkin kit, I have a pre-recorded video in which I create one of each of the projects in that kit. So you can kind of see how it all comes together. And I think that's all the videos I do. Now, last month, well, yeah, last month, I did a Friday night kind of live. So there was things that were happening. So instead of just canceling it, I did do a pre-recorded live. That's why it's called a kind of live. And I scheduled it for the time that I normally would go live. What I did do is I did do a Saturday afternoon, or no, actually it was a Saturday night live in which I had a guest stamper. She was here for a week in town. We were celebrating her and my assistant's birthday. And so I wanted to introduce her to everybody because a lot of people would communicate with her and in the chat box when I would do my Friday Night Live. So they had the opportunity of, hearing her voice and seeing her. And so we had a lot of fun with that video. So that video is already posted. So I also do a monthly newsletter. In that newsletter, I do have my video schedule. So all the products that I would use, that I feature, whether it's my Friday Night Lives, my Throwback Thursdays, my monthly Christmas card inspiration, and also with the paper pumpkin, I do list those products in there and the days that I'm doing the video, except for the paper pumpkin because it's whenever I get that kit in the mail. And I got that stuff. They're stamping up information in there. There's information on things that I would be doing. Also, I will be putting out my newsletter tomorrow, which is Tuesday, May 6th, because every month Stampin' Up does come out with either one or two, no, either two or three new kits in their kits collection, and I like to include pictures of those new kits along with a description as well. So if you would like to receive my monthly newsletter, and again, I only typically send it out usually the first Tuesday of each month. However, this month I did send one out on, I believe it was the first or the second, because Stampin' Up did have a 2 times the rewards promotion that was only for the 2nd and the 3rd of May. So I did put out a newsletter then, and I'll put one out on Tuesday. And I usually only, like I said, I only do one, typically one. However, if there is some special promotion or whatever that Stampin' Up comes up with, say in the middle of the month or so, I send out another one, but it's condensed just to let you know of an upcoming special promotion, whatever it may be. Sometimes they'll hit us with, free shipping for like 3 days possibly. So in that case, I would send a condensed one out to let you know about that. So again, thank you everyone for joining me. And I will see you next Thursday where I'll be featuring the Bottled Happiness Bundle. Until then, everybody stay safe and be blessed. Bye bye.